Today, inside the vault, Fred and I break down ways to apply this week's virtue as believers, husbands, fathers, and friends. Whoever you are and wherever you are, we're glad you made it. Are you ready? Let's get back to good.
All right, welcome back inside the vault. Back to good. Happy Monday to y'all. Happy Saturday to Fred and me. It's a Saturday morning. So if it's Saturday morning for me, you know it's early for Fred. So it's a little bit of role reversal because sometimes I'm in the witching hours burning the candle. This man is so committed, so faithful. It's good to see you. I know it's bright and squirrely. I'm actually sipping coffee because I need it this morning, man. It's been one of those weeks, couple weeks, months. I don't know. It's a season, baby. But Over to you. Say howdy. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good people. Man, it's always good to see you. Yeah, it's early, but as you just said, you always are the one being flexible with me. So this is a pleasure and an honor, man.
Man, it's so
glad
good
to be here and glad we can make it work.
Accountability. I had a really good episode on Off the Hinges with my buddy, CJ. We were staff sergeants in the Marine Corps together, so like senior enlisted. He ended up retiring as a first sergeant. He is a teacher now at the largest high school in San Diego County. He's getting his Ed.D. from Chapel Hill through one of their distance. He's just such a good man, really good husband, father, example, brother. And we talked about accountability, and it was really great to hear some of his insights. And he said something that really stuck out to me. He said, accountability is a relationship. And I love how we think of it as this thing or this theoretical, philosophical mindset, but he's like, accountability is a relationship. Relationship is accountability. I think of this, right? Like we show up, we're on time, we're accountable to each other. And that's sort of where it goes. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, but the first question I have for you off the gates, because I just love getting Fred's unimpregnated thoughts where I did. We talked about some things before, and it's not what I'm going to right now, but I had to make a sticky, and if you freeze frame that, you can see what it says. But I had to make a sticky because I was like, whoa, I can't forget to say that because we jabber back and forth a little before we click record. And I was like, I had an idea where this is going today. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Buckle up the next hour-ish. We got a pretty hard stop time, but we're here for you. We're taking it back to good. But accountability, Fred, I would say, to whom and for what do you find yourself accountable always and specifically in this season of life? And the choices of those to and for whom and what are very surgical, how I frame them. So to whom and for what are you accountable right now?
Oof. Dude, that brings just chills up my body. Absolutely.
Good questions should.
And it puts things in perspective, right? So all the things I think we're going to talk about, it definitely sets the stage. So for me, number one, to God for my life. Every gift, every experience, every trial, every accomplishment, everything is for him. It's all for him. It's all for his glory. It's all for him. Nothing I do. We talked about this a little bit. I won't go into the specifics of what we chatted about before we started, but it's his grace on me, man. It's his love on me that operates through me, that I have no other choice for me, for Fred, no other choice than to, I don't like the word try it, I can't think of a better word right now, but to commit to being as accountable as I can for what has been given to me. It is a gift. My life is a gift. I was chosen, just as everyone should feel. I was chosen, I was selected. There was purpose, there was meaning. When he thought of me, as he told, was it Joshua? Not Joshua, Jeremiah. Well, I knew you from your mother's womb. Like there was already an understanding of what Fred Hill was supposed to do and be. And the only thing I have to do is follow the plan. That's all I got to do is follow the plan. So it resets me when I get frustrated, overwhelmed, in thinking that I'm doing something on my own, because in all honesty, I'm just following the plan, and I only have to be accountable to the plan and to the one who has already promised me what I know to be true and what the end is going to be, which is that I win. The end is that I win. And the more
When you
that I
get
can
off on
see,
these good things, I'm gonna interrupt. When you get off on these good spiels like you do, I love them. I just see in my mind like J Hud taking a high heel off and throwing a shoe and just screaming preach. And I'm like, I don't wear high heels. I'm not wearing shoes at all. That's not in my basement. But I'm like, I just see like J Hud just going off like, yeah, preach, Fred. Keep on with your bad self. But that's just what went
oh,
through. That
but
flashed through my
it's
mind. So
true. It's true, man. That question, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for it. But dude, it puts so much stuff in perspective. Like
it
when
puts
you
all of
just think
accountability in
about
perspective to me.
our lives and
Yeah.
what was really important. And I love what you say, why we do what we do, to whom and for what. Like it's all for him. It's all for him. And I'm not going to try to put any caveats around that, because the question
Yeah.
was for me. So
Yeah.
I believe that. That's my belief. I truly believe every gift, every opportunity, every experience, every triumph, every failure that appeared to be a failure, which was really just a learning opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
every gift and ability that I have been given, it's all for purpose and for meaning. And I feel accountable to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I fulfill it, but also not just for myself, but for every person that I'm also supposed to interact and encounter along this journey.
Man. And
So it's
I tell you what, it's biblical. I'll share a quick story of what happened in the car the other day. But yeah, there's a verse that says, "Of him, to him, through him be all things. To him be glory forever and ever."
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. It is I am accountable to God first and foremost, to Jesus. And I think someone who I really believe, I don't just think, but I really believe in the core of me, someone who is truly accountable in their heart. And we talked about that. It's your intellect, it's your emotion and your will. So the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act and behave, your life, you nailed it. Your life is all of the above. If you're truly accountable, an accountable life is a life without caveats.
Mhm.
Because I am ready and willing to make my calling and my election sure. The things that God has called me to, I love that. I'm also willing to give a response and a reasoning for why I do the things I do and to whom they are for, and for what gifts I am charged with accountability for everything in all of my acts and all of my life. I'll take it a layer deeper because it is to God, and I am also accountable to others.
Mhm.
I don't view that others, I need to hold them accountable. Maybe if I'm in a leadership role, or my girls and even my wife and myself, we need to hold each other accountable. But I have been almost in talents, and the mindset of stewardship comes to mind in this. I am accountable. I am held accountable by the one to whom I am accountable for everything He, God, has gifted me.
Yeah.
My life,
Yes.
my brain, my strength,
Yeah.
my family, my material assets, my spiritual giftings, my relationships, the time in my day that I can squander or redeem.
Yes.
Everything
Yes.
is what I am accountable for,
Yes.
and to whom ultimately is Him, and also to all other people.
Yeah.
Because if I believe that we are images of the invisible, if we are made in His image, if we are all a reflection of our Savior, and every human is a child who's just seeking to be restored back to their dad, then I'm actually in Him as one, accountable to all. I know that might sound deep. That's coming off the top ropes pretty heavy, but like that question and how you actually, without caveats, answer it for yourself. To whom and for what do you find yourself accountable, really? If I was really going to get the honest answer. And the way you answer that is everything.
Yeah.
That is the framework for how you live your life. Because we all find layers of accountability. A parent might not hit a timeline for taking their kid to school or to practice in time because they don't feel really like they need to be accountable to it. So your actions are going to reveal what you really find you are accountable to and for. And not that there's not room for mistakes and margin for error, but generally repetition aids learning and repetition shows me where your heart's at.
Yeah.
So if you're repeating this lifestyle, you're telling me how you really find yourself accountable.
Yes.
So, starting with the head, because we do this head, hands, heart. I picked a really simple verse, but it's 1 Corinthians 4:2. And it says in the ESV, moreover, it's required of stewards that they be found faithful. That doesn't mean that you be found perfect in everything, but being faithful in your stewardship and in your accountability, really, like, I don't know, it's hard to uncouple so many other virtues from accountability, stewardship, trust, honesty, communication. Oh my goodness, we could go on. Discipline.
Yes.
And discipline's coming up next. It's our next topic around the corner. And good Lord, buckle up. But all of these things, man, it's like, yeah. So I guess I would ask you maybe, how does clarity of standards in your position of leadership or in the home, and how you frame up this accountability, because it does come into like standards, expectations, before things go south instead of like as a reactive measure. So how do those come into play with you in the home, at work, in your own life, to frame up this mindset of accountability in the headspace before we start living it out? How does that resonate with you?
I mean, I feel like it starts with each individual. I don't believe a person can hold other people accountable if they don't hold themselves accountable. And to me, that starts with some level of self-awareness, emotional intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
but also a sense of responsibility. Like if you don't see accountability as a type of responsibility, it's very difficult, in my opinion, for you to hold somebody else accountable when you're not exemplifying that trait yourself. So for me, for everything, and I always have felt this way, and I still feel very strongly, regardless of the environment, work, home, friends, I feel leading by example is the best way. I have yet to see anyone who can use just words alone or even structure to hold people accountable, yet they are not holding themselves accountable and to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
I see it in my kids. I see it with my wife. I see it as a leader. I see it with friends. When we talk about accountability, most people, and again, I'm gonna puff my chest up just a little bit this week because this is the one area that I have just a little bit of confidence in, just a little bit.
Go on with your bad stuff.
And let me give you some. Let me say this. Not that I'm trying to downplay it, but I'm being honest. At a very early age, though, and Donnie and I were talking about this, there are certain things in my life. I don't know why. I think it was, again, God. That's my opinion. I understood very early on. I understood the need to be accountable for the things that were given to me. I may not have understood it from a spiritual perspective, but I knew when someone gave me something to treat it with honor and respect. So, like, I didn't have a lot of broken toys. My clothes, people would joke, be like, you've had that for how many years? Like, I treated what was given to me, stewardship, I guess you can call it that. But still, I think there's still accountability for it.
They're pretty synonymous.
Yeah, very true. Even when it comes down, and you know this, for my personal health and working out, I've been working out for over 30 years. So people see the result of being accountable. And to me, that is much more impactful than just me saying it. They see it. They know how I manage my home. I don't like clutter. I don't like a lot of stuff. That's just, I've always been that way from a very early age. If my mother were here, she would tell you, I always kept my room very clean. As a matter of fact, I was always redesigning my room, trying to figure out a way to make things better. So that mindset has always kind of been there with me. I'm not trying to say that I'm special, but that's just, everybody has different traits, but that's one that I grasped very early on. And it really has just been a straight line through my life. So I have tried to be more of an example in what I do, in thinking consciously about my actions to make sure Fred is doing the right thing first in whatever area it is, and allowing the action to be much more powerful than for me to think of what I need to say to hold others accountable.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been
And
the most beneficial way.
I would absolutely. And I think it is good to like square your shoulders up, stick your chest out, lift your chin up, and not slump on that and say, yeah, this is who I am. I can have a good posture physically and at the core of me that, no, I'm good telling you, I'm very accountable.
Yeah.
And I'm actually just saying that, not just in a response to you, but I'm saying that to myself. Like I am very accountable. And I also hold those in my sphere and in my circle accountable, and they do me, and it stings sometimes.
Yes.
Yes. And man, that goes very neatly into this. There's a very simple verse.
Let me give you, before you go there, let me give you this.
Please do.
Part.
Please
Here
do.
I go. Right.
Go for it.
Here's the counter to that. It also sets expectations very high for me that sometimes I hold for other people that don't have that same expectation. And that leads to a level of disappointment. So let me also say, as much as my accountability and me being conscious, me being aware of stewardship and priority and responsibility, because I set such a high standard for that, I also sometimes cast that same expectation around people or to people, and am at times disappointed when they don't live up to that same expectation. So it does have a negative side to it, if not managed and balanced appropriately. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that has absolutely been a challenge that I think people who are very routine, disciplined, as you said, but hold accountability very high, that you can often set this standard of thinking that you are the standard versus you might be the anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And that now you've had an expectation of people that have not arrived to where you were. And that doesn't mean a negative thing. It's just you're not in the same place when it comes down to how you view things or through which lens you see it.
Right.
I had to throw that out there for balance.
You know what? You went there. And this is so, I love it when things like this happen. It just tees up so perfectly. I'm going to show y'all the sticky note. If you didn't like freeze frame it to check it earlier, I'm going to show you the sticky note and I'm going to leave it up for a moment. That way people that are listening instead of watching this got to be awkwardly silent, go like, what's he talking about? And I'll tell you as well. But the word you just used, and I wasn't even going to show this until a little bit later in our chat, but I'm going there now because you used it. So, Fred, let's see. Hold on. I'm going to see if Fred can read this for the people. Read this.
PPL, don't disappoint. That implies they had power to appoint me.
Okay. I'm going to read the second part in a second. But people, that was my shorthand. That was my shorthand for it. People, PPL, all you PPLs out there, all you peeps. It's interesting. And this might be wordsmithing, but this is the way I try to be thoughtful and reflective on the words I choose and use. Also, not just to others, but in my own heart and mind. Because if I go, and I know it's just a word, and I understand the definition of the word, and I've looked it up, and I've gone back and forth, and I've argued with people on my mindset on this. I, for myself, choose not to even think or use the word disappointment in relation to other people, because this isn't an arrogant statement. It goes back to whom am I accountable? None of you ever have had the power to appoint me, and you never will. Because my appointment does not come from any earthly man, woman, child, or being, or existence, or relationship. My appointment comes from my God. And that is a full stop. Put a cork in it, we're done. That's it. That's it. So for me to look at someone in my heart and mind and say, you disappointed me, like the actual meaning of that word, disappoint, like to remove an appointment that it is expectations, but like disappointment in my heart, that actual word to me gives you the power to have an appointment over me and over my identity that you don't actually have. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to me. And it's disrespectful to God in my heart. I'm not saying if you don't agree with me on that, that's just a Joshism. That's just a Josh way of viewing things. But again, when my girls use words they don't know, and we've talked about this, and I go like, do you really know what that means? Why are you using it? Even in the most cliche rhetoric that we use every day, I try to take it back and go, what does that word actually mean the way I believe it? And I don't believe disappointment as a leader and as a father and as a husband and as a friend is a good word. Now, the second part of that, the word that I wrote down that I pulled away before you could read it, is regret. And you can look at 1 Samuel 15:35, the very last thing in this whole story in 1 Samuel 35 is King Saul, the first king of Israel, and he disobeyed. In 1 Samuel 15:22, the second half of that verse says, Samuel, who is a prophet of God, looks at Saul, the king, and says, to obey is better than to sacrifice. Because Saul's talking about, I made these sacrifices, but he didn't actually kill the king of the Amalekites and not take anything that belonged to them. He didn't root out, and we're going to go there from a cultivation standpoint in a second, but he didn't root out that stuff in their lives for him and his people, for his team, for his country that he should have. And then he tried to backpedal. So he knew he wasn't accountable to God, and he knew he was being held accountable by Samuel and all of that. And it goes, Samuel went to Ramah. Saul went to his house in Gibeah of Saul. Samuel did not see Saul again until the day of his death. Samuel grieved over Saul. Man, I haven't found this anywhere else, and maybe I'm just ignorant or haven't done my research. I have not found another verse in the entire Bible that says that the Lord, that our Savior, had this emotion towards a person that he appointed. It says, and the Lord regretted that he made Saul king over Israel. You go, did God make a mistake? No, he doesn't. As a leader, you can have things that happen that I would choose to say, it didn't say the Lord was disappointed in him. Who appoints God? No one. But he regretted it. He goes, ooh, you weren't accountable to me for everything that I have given you. And because of that, I regret that I gave you that chance. It brings in the whole spiritual applications of free will, choice. But I think accountability, again, he regretted Saul because of Saul's poor choices. And it comes down to the simplicity of, there's two choices on a shelf, man. You can please God or you can please yourself. Which one are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that accountability, self-reflection, and self-awareness for me is super challenging. And then you said something there that was just, man, it was too good, because when we're talking about what's our posture around accountability then, and this is what Fred and I share a lot, and even other friends, I've had it happen to me recently, and sometimes it hurts. But Proverbs 27:6, everyone likes to go towards the end of the chapter when it talks about iron sharpening iron. They'll put it on workout shirts. That's really cool. So that's 27:17. So one man sharpens another, blah, 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 blah. And that's good. That's good. Fine. But also, like, you can have two pieces of iron if they're not aligned and they strike each other. They aren't sharpening, they're blunting, they're damaging, they're fracturing. So alignment and purpose matters.
Yeah.
And listen to this verse earlier in the chapter that is actually, I think, the heart of the iron sharpening iron. It says in 27 verse 6 in Proverbs, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. So it's saying, like, you, if you're really accountable, would rather and should rather choose wounds or things that strike deep from a friend who is aligned. Because that's the iron sharpening iron piece. Why are you chasing all these kisses from the enemy? So who are you accountable to?
Yeah.
And for what? Again, so this posture is, I would just ask this question, like, who holds you accountable in love, not in fear? And then what about that relationship that they are modeling is something that you could adopt into your own framework in the home, at work, and abroad? Because I don't believe in being disappointed by others, but I sure do regret maybe decisions I've made, maybe positions I've put other people into where they didn't make wise choices. So again, when you talked disappointment, you went there, not me. But when you injected that, I think that was very timely, because what am I messaging to my girls when I say I'm disappointed in you? And I don't. I'm not disappointed in them. They never appointed me. I'm their daddy. God appointed me over them. But I can say that I regret that they made those choices, or I regret that I gave you that opportunity because you weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't prepare you for it. So it causes some deeper reflection when I go like, ooh, why do I regret this circumstance happening? And what was the causation of this effect?
Yeah.
I know that's a lot to spring back on you.
That's the real question.
That's the real question. But like, back over to you now, because you took us there. But yeah, with this heart and this posture, Wounds of a friend, kisses of an enemy. How do we view that, and how do you manage that in your daily interactions?
You know what? I have, in COVID, I will say, did a lot of this, and you are a prime example of that. I definitely did a filtering, let's call it an editing of friendships and relationships that just naturally faded or dissolved for various reasons. And thankfully, I don't have any horror stories on why I may not speak to certain people as much. But I also learned that I wanted friends who would be honest and truthful with me, and not just people who would go along with whatever I was saying or doing.
Yeah.
But it's taken intentionality in ensuring that I am keeping myself in an open posture so that people feel like they can give me that type of love.
Right.
Because I do think you can have a posture that is closed and people won't provide insight or thoughts that could sometimes pierce a little bit, but be for your good. And they can still be good friends, but because you're not open, I think it's a two-way street. So surrounding myself with people at this stage in life where I'm really focused on deeper relationships versus just surface relationships. And that comes in all different ways. I have some great mentors that I have kind of accumulated over the years in different areas. I call them kind of like my life board. I think they're different people that I look up to that have either mastered a certain area or done a certain thing. Then they're also friends, right? So they're friends, but and they know who they are, right? They in these positions that I go, hey, if I have a situation in this particular area, I go to because I know I can get that true, honest, sometimes raw feedback from situations and things that are going on in my life. But I think you have to be intentional about it. I don't think it naturally happens that you just have people that are willing to give you that level of I don't like the word feedback because it feels just too structured, but just insight on maybe your blind spots. Because most of the time, that's what it is. For me, it's stuff that I don't acknowledge, don't see, not aware of, because I'm looking myopically through a lens that either I always look through or just never saw a different way of seeing things.
Yeah.
And when that light goes off, it's piercing sometimes because you could think you're right. And it's not that you're wrong. You just didn't realize there's a different way to do it, different way to see it, different way to go about it, different way to approach it. So I think for me, it's being intentional about who I'm surrounding myself with, but also it's a posture that I feel like I have to be in order to be receptive of that type of insight or love. Because I do think it is an act of love when someone, and it takes, in my opinion, it takes a level of courage to be able to tell someone you love. And let's just go there for a second. I think often it starts with my wife and I. I think that is the prime example I'm thinking of when you have to place yourself in that position of being vulnerable, whatever dudes, we want to say, but be able to take that feedback, take in the love, take in the insights from someone else that you trust, but be open to it and not closed off to it in a posture of closure. So that's my thought, man.
I love that idea on you talk about people who maybe it's not feedback, maybe they're just giving you like some mentorship. And of course, first of all, I've said this before, mentors are chosen. They're not self-selected. Like if you call yourself a mentor and that person don't want to hear from you, you're not their mentor. You're just an annoying gnat in their ear. So knock it off. A mentor is someone that someone else seeks because they respect you and they respect your choices. So like you are not a self-appointed mentor over anyone. If someone comes to you, take that accountability wise, take that with grace and with honor and with respect and dignity. But You're not a I'm a teach, coach, and mentor. You might be trying to teach. Coaching, again, is one of those things where people got to choose you. Like, they want you to be their coach. They want you to be their mentor. So a lot of that is the person that you think you're helping is telling you they want you to help them. Now, I'm glad I got that out of the way. Now we said it straight. But this goes to accountability. It comes down to choices. Choices start with decisions, and it starts in the mind. So decision making, and it's interesting. I always ask myself, and I've said this for years, a lot of people have spun off on it and had their own ideas, but I used to talk with my dad when I was a kid. So you can't, let me just go there for a second, man. I've had so many people when I say it, and I've had people say this to me, like, oh, now that this sounds rude and rough, but people have said this. And I tell you what, it pissed me off more than anything, but it's how people are. And you got to be firm in who you are and have some courage to take it, to stand up to it, and to define and frame it correctly. So I have told people what I'm about to tell you, and I've had them say, oh, you just making that comment. Like, my dad used to say this to try and pitch your own idea, but like hanging on the coat rack of your dad, and maybe we'll buy onto it. And first of all, he's gone. So like, screw you. That's not a wound you get to try and make. Right. But second of all, it's like, no. But honestly, I don't care. You can think whatever you want. I'm sharing from my heart what I had through countless hours of time next to my dad, working on a construction job, knocking up my knuckles, bleeding on the cinder blocks, cutting out, mortar joints. And he's just talking to me about life. And these are the sorts of talks we would have. Like what I'm having with you or my good friends. Like, it's what we did, because it's what good men of character do. Like, they have fun talk, but they have real talk in the midst of it. And he used to say, hey, man, and he used to say this a lot when we would sit down like together for a meal, because he wanted it to be tangible and like apply to the action we were taking. He said, yeah, as we sit down at this table or we sit down at this bench, he's like, always think about when I make decisions, who's sitting at the table of my decision making? Yeah. So he said, always ask yourself that. And people are like, oh, you're just trying to make this analogy. No, I think in analogies because my dad did it. Yeah. My dad shared stories. It's actually a beautiful image of what Christ did. It's just stories and pictures and parables and analogies that were relatable that make you think past surface level. So when you go like my mentors, these choices I'm doing and sifting through, it does go relationally and accountability wise. Who have I selected at this to sit at this table of my decision making? And there's only a select number of chairs.
Absolutely.
So who's filling them?
Yeah.
Because you don't have, maybe your table only like sits a family of 6 and you're one of them. Who knows? But when you go this mentorship thing, man, it's like, I've heard things about being on the trail, right? You're following someone's with you, someone's behind you. I just view these relationships almost sometimes like you're riding in a car, and the people are the different lenses you can look through. Like the windshield is maybe the framework that your mentors can offer you, because you're looking forward and you're following the route that they've sort of gone in.
Yeah.
Your side view mirrors are your colleagues. Like, they are showing blind spots because they're in it with you. And if you don't check them, if you need to switch lanes to avoid a pitfall, you might sideswipe someone else who's on the same journey. So your timing, your lateral movements with those people, that colleague to the left and right are sort of like your side views. And the rear view mirror is, hey, you better not forget, first of all, where you've come from, but you got to look up and see who's following me. Because if you've ever led a chain of cars, or you've done a carpool and you're zipping through traffic and someone else is supposed to be following you, nothing's going to frustrate them more or frustrate your trip agenda more than if you ditch them. So you've got to check up in the rear view and go like, who are they still close by? Did I lose them? Did they have to pull off? Did they have to get gas? And I need to pull off and wait for them. So actually, if you're in a carpool, the one that's leading it has to check more than the person behind them to make sure, are we still together? It's my job to lead this. And it sounds like a funny analogy, but I think of that all the time. Like, what windshield am I looking through? Who am I following? What's the route I'm on? Who are the people that are my side view mirrors, giving me some revelation as to my blind spots? Yeah. And then am I checking my rear view to make sure, like, I know that there's people following my footsteps, my little girls first and foremost. Yeah. Am I getting too far ahead of them? Yeah. Am I paying attention to when they need to like stop and refuel? Maybe we just need to stop and rest, and I need to lead them in that and pull off and let them pull off. Why? Because I know you're getting tired. Yeah. All of these things on life's journey, it's funny, but it's a relational thing. Again, absolutely. I just think in analogies. It might be cheesy and corny, but it's what I do. But it applies.
It makes it make sense.
It makes it make sense. But I think, regardless of how people have spit it back to me, there is no caveats. That's what my dad taught me. Like, who is sitting at your table of decision making? That the answer to that question informs the choices and informs this topic of accountability so deeply. I think it's so important. And I would rather get those wounds from a friend than be chasing the kisses of an enemy.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, where both of us, and I'm going to kick it back over to you, and you can share either contextually or as specifically as you want. But there have been some opportunities, I guess I will call it, to hold other people accountable to the top level of where I work.
Yeah.
Very senior officers, where it's not happening how it should be, and things are about to unravel past getting them back in. And accountability had to come in front. So the courage to do that, the discernment and the tact with which I did that. But it's a real thing, and you have a choice. Are you going to do it or not?
Yeah.
And I would rather be honest and courageous and faithful with the precision and the wounds that I might need to do because I care about the organization than be chasing the flattery and the kisses of people who don't know what's up or are just there for the fluff and the circumstance and the pomp and the pizzazz. I don't have time for that, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for a faithful friend and colleague and leader.
Yes.
And it hurts when you don't maybe get the value added or you don't get recognized for the value you're bringing. That stings.
Mm-hmm.
But I would much rather not get the false accolades than be chasing the kisses of the enemy.
Yeah.
And it puts it into context sometimes for me.
Yeah.
But with all of these sort of thoughts swishing around in our brains on this topic, where does that land for you?
I mean, it's true. It goes back to your first question on who am I accountable to and for what? And if and because that statement is true, because I am human, and at times that focus gets a little blurred, absolutely. There are absolutely times in my life and in certain situations that it is nice to be affirmed by the people that you are pouring into.
Absolutely.
And because you feel accountable to them.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that there's an acknowledgement of your accountability to them. Yet, to your point, it should not be the basis for why you do what you do. Right. Ultimately, if you believe, and because I believe, my first statement on I'm accountable to God. End of the day, He's the only one that I ever need to affirm me in who I am and what I do and why I'm doing it. Because first of all, again, it's only because of Him that I have what I have and do what I do.
Right.
So me looking to or relying on someone else other than Him for that affirmation is almost careless. And I have moments. We all have those moments where you're looking for, even from your kids, right? You know, even I've noticed. So I like to cook, and every now and then my wife does most of the cooking, but there are times I will make something, and as soon as I give it to them and they take their first bites, I'm looking, waiting for the response. And it feels good when they go, Daddy, this is, you know, it's always a thumbs up, or they'll say,
Man, I love your family.
You look for the thumbs up. This is good. You know what I mean? It's nice to feel like when you have put time and energy into something that people acknowledge it. Again, it's not about I should say no one. I'm not looking for fanfare. But when you do have a high level or standard for accountability, it takes work. And I don't know how else to say it. It takes you being, I said it earlier, being very intentional, thoughtful, proactive. It takes empathy. It takes you to remove bias. Like it's a mental thing. You know, you always start with the head, but this is mainly in your mind. How you see it is really how it plays out. And if you don't start with the right mindset on understanding and again, I say this in a good way, the weight of accountability, especially if you're in a position of leadership, and that can be any level of leadership, doesn't have to be for work, but could be for family, it could be for friends, it could be for your community, whatever it is. If you don't really understand that in your head first, forget any action that you do or take. It's
Right.
just not going to matter. It's not going to be based on the right thing. So even,
Mhm.
ending kind of, somewhat in this area, or the question on, you know, looking for that affirmation from other people versus from friends and people that you trust, you got to make sure you stay focused in your mind of understanding, back to your first question, to whom am I accountable?
Right.
At the end of the day, who is the only person that I need the affirmation from? And as long as
Mhm.
I can get myself back to that point, I'll be all right. Now,
Right.
again, there are times that we stray from that line, but as long as you can find a way to bring yourself back to that point of understanding
Mhm.
who is most important, hopefully every action that then proceeds from that is always with the right intention.
Yeah.
I think that's where it starts.
You talking about that weight is so interesting. I'm going to read like the first couple of sentences. And I always, before we do these episodes, I post on Substack the overall outline. I'll start with just a general quick snapshot of a story. And then we'll get into sort of the outline that Fred and I are following along with a little bit more. So go check it out. It's got stuff from like the scripture to behavioral science research on the topic, different things that are just useful for me because that's the way I think. But before I shared a story, I started it like this because this is just it's how my brain processes through it, man. And when you say the weight, that's exactly in a healthy way, that's how I feel it. And the title of this was Accountability, Putting Standards, Stewardship, and the Heart Back in Alignment. And I started it like this. There's a quiet moment every leader knows, though few mention it out loud. It's that first morning in a new role, a new team, a new command, when everyone watches to see whether your words and your actions are going to match. And that is assuming you even shared words or expectations to start with. You should. That's my inject. Nah, it's not fanfare, no warm-up lap, just the immediate weight of expectation, trust, and responsibility pressing on your shoulders before you have even finished your first cup of coffee. And that's how it feels sometimes. You get thrown into the ring, and there's a weight, and it's a good weight. You should be holding yourself accountable. And I think for me, first of all, I love that you share that. Thanks for just being, you're always vulnerable and open on this stuff, man. And that's why we continue to do this. Like, if anything, for our families and for our little girls, I just hope they can look at the model of the type of man that their daddies hope they will strive to be with one day, because that's our job. And I do stick my chest out and hold my chin up and say, I do take it very seriously that I should be modeling the man you should be trying to be with. Not a carbon copy of Josh, but
Yes.
characteristically
Yes.
wise,
Yes.
that is my
Yes.
role,
Yes.
is to give you the right frame of a man who loves God and all
Absolutely.
others.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. And if you don't agree with me, we ain't the same. Like, I'm cool with that, but we ain't jiving, man.
Right.
No,
Right.
that is my job. And I do hope they can one day say, like, man, I learned so much of what my husband needs to be like from my dad. Because they learn how to love, and it's caught before taught by watching how I love their mom and them and all others. So every relationship should be the framework. And that is my accountability to them, is I am offering you the anchoring bias. I am offering you your first initial impression and framework for everything. And I actually believe the way I believe. Like, yes, it's both of us. I don't do anything more than or better than my wife, but that actually falls on me. And I think people forget that if you believe the way we believe, and that God humbled himself to become less than the angels, to take on the form of a human, to become obedient unto death, even the death of the cross, each one of those things that you walk down that line is a choice that God made. In the fullness of time, he sent his son. And in relationship, they agreed, this is what I'm doing to restore people to us, to God. And in that, I think I even struggle with this sometimes. We like to view the 100% God side of Jesus, and we forget about the 100% man side, where he felt the same feelings. And I promise you, there were times where Jesus, again, I don't think he was disappointed, but I think he just felt this emotional strain of like, how are my disciples not getting it? And of course, he had full wisdom and understanding and insight. But you can't tell me that he didn't feel those deep feels, because he did, because it's captured for you and I to relate to. So when I see, okay, if there's a perfect God in the flesh that's modeling for us how to navigate through things that I know he's feeling, because he tells me he feels them and he shows me that he feels them, and it's captured and written by people that watched him and observed him, firsthand accounts, no doubt about it. Okay, so if that's captured, how did he respond? Or how did he tell us to respond? And so I think this accountability piece, again, it goes back to the life verses that we gave our girls. And I'm going to share them because it talks about relationally, I think, the right posture for all of this, for accountability. And I'm going to read it. What I'm reading out of is the New Living Translation, because I just like the way it frames it. It's in Romans 12, and it's verses 9 through 12, or I'll read 9 through 13. So it says, don't just pretend to love others, really love them. So if I'm reading this framework, okay, so he's about to tell me how I can not just pretend, but how I can really do it. And it goes into some things. And I think the order that these lists are is pretty powerful. First of all, it says, hate what is wrong. So I think as a man, for me to really love my family, I've got to show them that I have a strong defense and guardrail and detest for what is wrong, what is against the will of God. Ultimately, like if it's not choosing God, we don't have time for it. And I have to model that. And that's a challenge. That is accountability, because that's not always the case.
Yes.
But then it says, okay, from there, we're not just pretending to love others. We're hating what is wrong. We're holding tightly to what is good. And then this next piece, love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. And it goes on, never be lazy, work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically, rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in trouble, keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Don't curse them. Pray that God will bless them. Be happy with those who are happy. Weep with those who are weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people. Don't think you know it all. And it goes on, and it's a really good list. But man, the one I want to draw out, because it's the thread that you started pulling on, is when it says, take delight in honoring each other. So one of the best ways that you can not just pretend to love others, but really model as a leader and hold an accountability standard of love is the epicenter of everything we do. It's caught before it's taught. So if it feels nice for Fred and Josh to have the kids look and say, good meal, Dad, did a great job. How often do we do that to our wife in front of them?
Right.
If you want them to share words of affection and the value in feeling that, and you want to be acknowledged for that, the acknowledgement and the encouragement, because encourage is with courage. It's the opposite of fear. So perfect love casts out fear. So if you get rid of fear of inadequacies and fear of am I enough and fear of am I valued and fear of am I less than, or am I more than a conqueror because I hear it? Well, the way you do that is you encourage and you honor and you speak and you tell them, that was awesome. Oh, I value that. Oh, babe, that was such a good meal. And it's not flattery for flattery's sake. It's honesty.
Right.
And when they see it, they repeat it. And I love that one of the most, and it pays itself forward, because then if you're a thoughtful leader like that, when you see those you lead living it out, it is acknowledgement that you are leading by leading it out.
Yes.
So when I see my little girls do it to all others and I get reports back of, oh, your girl is so respectful. She's so kind. She's so thoughtful. I hear my heavenly dad whisper, good job.
Yeah.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You did the thing that I told you to do. Yeah. You're not just pretending.
Right.
You really, really love them.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's the undercurrent, man. So I think that's a leadership test. That's the litmus test of accountability. It's like, I'm not disappointed in you when you don't hit the mark. I'm not disappointed in myself. Neither one of us put me on this earth. It was all a gift. But man, I better be holding those choices with some weight on those shoulders. And I better be modeling it by honoring each other.
Yes.
And that is true love, is encouragement and honor where it's due. And I think taking the time, and I'm going to do that for you, man. Like, I really take joy in honoring you, and I love you, and you know that. And it can't be said enough, because I don't think you can ever tell people that enough. Because the older I get, the more I know that I need it.
Yes.
I need it. I need the texts. If you feel like sending them, please send them. I don't It's not that I need fluff or flattery, but I just need that gust of wind in my sails to be like,
Yes.
yeah, keep going, brother. This is good.
Yes.
I'm proud of you. And that's why God put us in community together to be that for each other.
Yes.
So that's where it lands. I'm so glad you said that, man, because you opened up that can of worms, but it was a good one, because it's like that is how we move past pretending when we really live it out.
Yes.
And accountability is living out our choices.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm curious some Fred thoughts and reflections as we start to wind this down, because we do need to hold the time. But where does this start to land on the runway for you?
It starts with the mind. It starts in your head. How you see yourself, how you see your purpose, your meaning, your influence. I mean, especially as men, right? Those are the words often we use in a way to try to manage and regulate others. But in all actuality, we should be using those to manage ourselves first.
Yeah.
And allow our lives, the fruit of our lives, to be the example that causes other people to want to follow, to want to be close to them, to want to understand more about them. It starts with you having an accountable life, you living an accountable life. I cannot tell you the number of times I have noticed, and as I've gotten older, I've become more conscious of this. Many people are watching you and they never say anything. And it'll be years later that someone will say something and you're thinking the action that you did, the words you said that were not directed towards someone, but how you felt, maybe something that you said about how you live your life, landed in such a way that was so impactful with someone else because they saw you doing it first. And they actually saw you believing what you said you were doing. And I think it's something about when you live a life of accountability, it attracts people. Because again, this may sound bad, Josh. I'm saying I don't think most people live that type of life. I don't think most people are thinking as deeply around the gift they have been given of life. And I'll say this kind of flippantly. I often see that when I see people run red lights. And I know it seems to be so small, but it's the first thing that goes through my head. I'm thinking to myself, you don't think more of your life that it could be taken in that split of a second because you were so impatient that you couldn't wait another 2 or 3 minutes, maybe? Like we don't value our lives and the gifts we have been given in a way, to me, again, if you believe or don't believe in God, that just honors your being, just you existing. There should be enough as to the reason why you exist that you would value your life and have some accountability for your life and how you treat your body and how you treat, others, that you would want to be conscious about it. You want to be intentional. And it's prevalent. I hate to say it, more and more in our society. We're not seeing a lot of people first hold themselves accountable. It's something else for me to come tell you what you're doing, what you're saying isn't right, but you should know it.
Right.
And you should feel some way about it. It should give you, I will use the word, there should be a conviction less than a condemnation, especially when it's self-identified.
Yes.
Around when there's something you need to tweak, adjust, change, because you feel the value of your life, or the value of the gift that you've been given. Even to your point about our kids. Man, the number of stories, and I know there are many of you out there that have wanted children, couldn't have kids, and how we take for granted sometimes the honor we have in raising our daughters. Man. As much as the weight can feel so heavy at certain points, and you're frustrated and you're anxious and you're regretful. I'll listen to my friend here and not use the word disappointed. But you're regretful of an action, but it's an honor. It's an honor. And there's an accountability that we should feel towards the raising of our children. I will go another step. To be married. The number of people that I know would want to be in a committed relationship and aren't, yet there are a number of people who are complainers and not accountable to the relationship and I use the word covenant, you call it what you want, but the commitment that you made in a marriage,
Right.
It's one of those things. It's kind of, why did you do it? Like that, there should be a forethought of this being important, that this is an honor. Yes, it gets challenging. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's work. Yes, it's something that you continuously have to improve and grow and develop on. But it needs to be to a point that you understand first, you have an accountability to that, that you will be held accountable for it in some way, form, or fashion.
Right.
Even with your finances. Got to go there for a second. I know we didn't talk about it. If you're not being accountable,
it's so much a part of it, man.
You are managing your money.
Yeah.
The same thing. When we're given, I believe in tithing. That's my personal opinion. Do what you want with it. I feel there's an accountability that I have to give back to God a portion, whatever people want to call it, of what he has given to me. I feel accountable to that. In my physical body, I feel accountable to do the best that I can. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am accountable to what I eat, how I'm moving, making sure that I am keeping my stress levels as low as possible. Trying to do the right thing to make sure that I'm sustaining my health in a way that allows me to accomplish what I've been sent here to do. There's just so many areas in your life where accountability has to start as a mindset first.
Right.
And if you get it right in your mind first, the actions just follow. But if you can't align it here, and I have to say it then in your heart, it's going to be difficult for you to hold yourself accountable and forget trying to hold somebody else accountable, because they're not going to believe you.
Right.
People see it. They see your actions. You said it earlier. If your words don't align with your actions, forget it.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to matter.
You're cooked.
Position and title don't mean anything if you yourself don't believe it and aren't doing it. Period.
So. Man, I'm going to land us where just a final thought and reflection on that before we close out. So, the girls, your children, and so much love for those of you who have wanted children, can't have children, much like what Fred said. I get it. I'm not even going to go there. That's not a part of my story that any of y'all that are listening have earned to hear. I'm just going to be honest, but there's reasons in my heart that I get it. But I will say this. In Scripture, it says children are a heritage from the Lord. And if you look at that word heritage, what does that mean? There's a couple definitions, right? So property that is or may be inherited, or an inheritance. I love this one. It's a special and individual possession, an allotted portion. That's more of an archaic use. But that is my portion. That is my gift. That is my special individual possession. Biologically, which is all a science that God has made. He has made things the way they are naturally to show us who he is and his love for us. I believe that to its fullest, whether it's the science of like our physical bodies, our psychological being, everything that we have, our full heart. And it says it's a special individual possession that he has allotted to us. That's what a child is. And it comes from, in my mind, the proper frame of the covenant, the unity with your spouse in the right way. Not that we don't maybe have children that aren't, we're not going to run in there. But I think the way it's framed by God and intended by God is that. So when you view that, the marriage is the focal point of those children. And the children are the individual prized possessions that are the literal fruit of that marriage. And when you view it that way, it's everything. Yeah. No one else can claim to be the biological father of Arya, Alessia, or Karina. You can't do it. Many others can, should, and will take over my job and my position and my title one day, wear the same uniform, same rank, maybe be a better coach than I am, maybe be a better PhD than blah, 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 blah. Who cares? But no one will ever physically hold that position. They are mine.
Yes.
That's it. And that weight of responsibility and accountability is such a joy.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way I want to frame it for people is like, it's not a weight of a drudgery. It is the most beautiful luxury that I have been trusted
with them. And if I look at 1 Samuel 15, the end of the chapter, what will God say to me at the end of the thing that he has entrusted to me? Will he look at me like he looked at Saul and say, I regret I gave you those kids, man? Because there's a precedence that the Lord has said that before. He entrusted a whole nation of his children to a man who messed it up. And that's where accountability really, it strikes me in the heart. I go, oof, I don't want to be like that. So I need the faithful wounds of a friend. I need the encouragement, admonishment, and sharpening of my wife all the time. And I'm going to leave you with these lyrics, and then we're going to close it out because I just heard it recently. I'd heard it. My sister shared me the lyrics like right after I had listened to the song. It's by a Christian hip hop artist, KB. And it's called Campaign. And I sort of love the song because it sort of flies in the face of cultural stuff. But I'll maybe play the song as like on the story so y'all can hear it, or you can go check it out. But I love the lyrics he says here. It's very witty. But he also says, we don't really care about celebrities unless they're the ones like Jesus. I'm not impressed too easy, bro. Don't care what you got, what you leaving. You're trying to make an IG brand, but who's making fans of the kingdom? Yeah, it's none of my biz, but stand before God on how did we live. He ain't about to ask about the numbers we did. He's coming for the you that's in front of your kids, not for the captions that's under your pics. Yeah, Christ crucified. That's my number one pick. And I just think when it comes to accountability, where my heart is, where I know Fred's heart is, that's us. This Back to Good is all about a discipleship dialogue. Like, we're not trying to put any caveats on who we are or why we're doing it. And we're hoping that it's useful for you, even if you don't have the same faith journey or faith as us. I think there is a lot of merit and use in listening to this dialogue. But this is for you, like fellow believers, fellow men, women, children who really are trying to be discipled along in their journey by two men who mess it up, but who have a heart to do it right. Yes. And the answer to the beginning question is everything. To whom are you accountable? And for what are you accountable? It's everything. Wrestle with it, struggle with it, apply it. Let us know how it's going. Man, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. For our kids, for our families, that's who it's always for our heritage. But for the rest of you, we're glad you joined us. Get back to good. See you next time.
See you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Back to Good. Don't forget to follow Foundational Coaching on your favorite social media platforms. Fred and I are honored to be a part of your story today. We hope this conversation has helped bring your head, hands, and heart back to good.